Good morning, everybody. So make sure that you pay attention to the weather later on. If you're traveling around later on this afternoon, it's supposed to be a bit icy. And we've had enough incidents with falling on black ice, so I think I can, yeah. So I'll be very careful as you're driving.
Spokesperson.
I am the black ice spokesperson.
Yeah.
And everything is healing. Doctor says I'm doing very well. So that's good. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. It is February 5th, Wednesday. It is 9 a.m. and it's the Executive Committee. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen, Bates, Berman,
Leonard's here for Berman.
Odette.
On Berman is online. He's listening. Dale, welcome.
Gums,
Drum's here.
Juby,
Here.
Caius,
Caius, present remote.
Lewis, Linder, Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Surges, Tepe,
Debbie here.
Williams,
Williams here.
Roth,
Roth here.
Xerox.
I'm here.
Given in-person quorum.
We do have a question. I don't think the state's attorney is here. Mr. Leonard, I know parliamentary, though, you won't be able to vote.
I won't.
That's what I'm asking. Will you?
I think I should, yeah.
You should.
No,
Is the
you
vice-
wouldn't be able to vote, but you'll be able to introduce all the resolutions like you did last month.
But I cannot.
But you can't vote on any of them. No.
Okay.
We had that issue last year and
Okay, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
When I tried
Last year. Okay.
and I tried to sub for Kenyon.
Good clarification. All right, very good. But we have certainly appreciate you being
Oh,
here.
certainly.
Absolutely. We have several requests for remote attendance today. All health related, Mr. Sanchez, Mr. Linder, I don't see him. Mr. Caius, is he here? I don't see
He's
him.
remote, was remote.
Oh, I see him. Chris, you're there. And Mr. Berman, all health related. So I permission to bring them on?
Yes.
Okay, very good. You're all welcome to attend, gentlemen. Pledge of Allegiance. Bill, why don't you do it?
Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of January 8th?
Williams would ask for unanimous consent for the minutes of January 8th, 2025.
Thank you. Do we have unanimous consent from everybody? Yes? Yes, okay. Approved. We have one speaker who has signed up for public comment. We have two speakers. My apologies. All right, I will let Brian Anderson, please. You're first. Good morning, Mr. Anderson.
Good morning, Brian Anderson, Sugar Grove. Let me take us back to the Finance Committee, January 29th. This is in regard to Resolution 2533. You know, one of the Democrat board members made a tremendous common sense comment. We need to put the brakes on this. What am I referring to? The Strategic Planning Services contract. I think it's $127,500. And the board member said, we need to pause. We need to wait till at least after April 1st, which as a taxpayer, I concur. This is the second meeting that I've been to executive this year, and I think the message is the same. Fiscal responsibility, being prudent. Strategic Planning Services. You know, I could wrap it up this way and save you $127,000. Cut waste, research everything, cut costs, trim departments, stop the spending for a fixed period of time, and take a long pause. Maybe reduce some of the committees. But here's the bombshell. I just read this morning. The Barry Dunn group that you're wanting to vote on, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this was just published January 25th. They're embroiled in a $7.25 million data breach lawsuit. Okay, so that's very alarming to me as a taxpayer. So I know that you had 9 other RFPs. So I'm hoping that they came in number 1, the lowest. Number 2, I hope you did your due diligence on this particular group. They're based out of Portland, Oregon. They're embroiled in a $7.25 million lawsuit. Let that sink in as you're considering this resolution today. I would probably suggest pause on that. And I would look at your other RFPs and see who else. Now, the court case isn't due until June of 25. But again, 7.25 million. If they can't manage their own business, they can't manage and help a local municipality. But back to my serious point, strategic planning, cut costs, review every single department. That's the job. Make prudent cuts when needed and consider taking, I think we have 13 committees, which ones can be eliminated. So the board can focus on what's most important, and that's being a fiscally prudent county in the state of Illinois. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Michelle Betteg.
Hi, Michelle Bettag, St. Charles. Last night I went to the presentation, just reviewing the sales tax referendum presented by a couple board members. I received your flyer that you're circulating around Kane County. At the bottom of the flyer, the Kane County Board has not increased property taxes on its citizens for more than a decade, while continuing to absorb the rising cost of inflation and other rising needs. Our county needs to increase in funding to maintain our service levels, or we will run out of money in the near future and be forced to cut programs that will ultimately affect the safety of our community. Going back to, I guess I'm confused a little bit about the transparency, and I don't know, it's probably designed that way. Back to the Kane County Connects dated November 18th, 2024. There's a paragraph supporting the budget is a property tax levy of 60.8 million, which includes the increase of the consumer price index of 3.4% since the last budget cycle. So technically, our taxes have gone up with that, and also the assessed value of our taxes because our properties have gone up. So maybe I'm confused about it. This would confuse a taxpayer, in my opinion, because it's not exactly transparent or truth. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, and I can get a clear description of that. I guess my bottom line is, if we are asking the taxpayer for another $51 million, right now, I don't trust the board with any more money to be given. We pay amongst the highest taxes in this country, very highest taxes in this country, and you can't manage what you have now. I guess the presentation last night also described that this money would be, I know you had to put it for safety, but it does go into the general fund unless I'm misunderstanding, and it's not necessarily earmarked for safety. But I just think, with everyone struggling and all these people hurting inflation-wise, I think this isn't true. And I think this makes people fearful. And maybe I can get a better explanation. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our public comment. Next speaker is Kathleen Hopkinson to do our monthly financial reporting.
Hello, I have slide presentations. The first slide presentation is the presentation that I gave at Finance Committee last week, but I've updated it. There was a request to have some additional percentages. So we'll just go through that same slide deck again. Turn it off. Turn it. There we go. So we haven't yet completely closed out 2024. There's a few transactions that we need to post, most notably interest earned for the second half of the year. But essentially, most all of our transactions are posted. So these are good numbers, but they are not, I can't call them final until they're final. So this is a comparison of all county funds, budget to actual by revenue. It includes transfers in and fund balance utilization. All these slides have adopted budget, amended budget, actual, and then remaining. And the remaining was calculated on this slide off of adopted budget. So some of the highlights, we had planned to use almost $139 million in fund balance, and we have not used that much to date. So there's essentially, that's good news. Our other taxes are lower than budget, primarily due to the fact that when we put together the 24 budget, we had over budgeted for state sales and other sales tax, like the RTA sales tax revenues. Because in the previous years, the trajectory was moving a lot higher, but things have kind of tapered off, or they did taper off in 24. Interest revenue, I pointed out, has not, we don't have all those numbers in yet. Reimbursements, this is good. We received about $10 million more in reimbursement revenue, actual over budget. A big part of that was KDOT, essentially reimbursements from IDOT. On the expense side, again, these are all county funds, not just the general fund. This is all of our special general funds, special revenue funds, capital projects funds, everything. And these are by type. So some highlights here are contractual services came in total about 40 million under budget. And the biggest percent of that was about 24 of that 40 million was from KDOT, 6 million in the emergency rental assistance program. Under capital, we're coming in about 60 million under budget. About 44 million of that 59.7 million is KDOT, 5.7 is farmland preservation, and 4.5 million is buildings management. Commodities came in slightly under budget, about 2.6 million under budget. About 800,000 of that 2.6 was from KDOT's budgets. And then contingency, we haven't, most of it is ARPA. We had planned to spend a lot of it. As you know, we've obligated it all, but we haven't spent it all yet. It'll have to be spent in the next 2 years. This is this same information, but presented by department. I do need to point out that the development, environment, and OCR departments over the history of the county have managed funds differently. So a portion of what now OCR manages used to be part of development, and some of what environment manages is also called development. So when we pull together these reports, it's pulling it by those categories. And so we're working with OCR and development and environment to perhaps better classify all the funds that roll up under their department. They both have a lot of funds that roll up under those departments so that we can get a cleaner look at what is exactly environment managed by the Environment Department versus what kind of development activities are managed by OCR. But they kind of all had their history starting under development. So with that said, some highlights on this. Our general government revenue is lower, as I said, and that's a theme due to the over budgeting on some sales tax type revenues. Farmland preservation is part of the county board budget. Did not receive a grant. That's why there's such a big difference under county board. And that's one of those other unusual things. The farmland preservation program actually rolls up under county board. Been talking to Mark Van Kerkhoff about sort of the history of why that is, because he is essentially overseeing it, but it rolls up under county board and is at the best classification for it because it does cause a lot of questions. And then other countywide includes interest revenue, which we haven't posted that all yet. On the expense side, again, the farmland preservation sticks out in the analysis. Circuit clerk is under budget. A big, the 1.1 million of their being under budget is in the salaries line item. The sheriff department is over budget. 3.5 million of that is salaries. KDOT has some of their remaining includes 850,000 in salaries, 19 million in engineering services, and 43 million in road and bridge construction. And then on the other category, we have a department that we call countywide, which we budget for the costs of like the computer systems for the entire county, because we don't budget that cost department by department. So we budget it in a department called countywide. We actually don't budget for it under the IT department. So things like that. And then also our healthcare for the general fund is also under countywide. So the budget to actual includes 14 million in benefits for general fund employees. And some of that remaining money, again, is ARPA. And as you can see, both of these presentations now include percent achieved versus the adopted budget, and then the percent achieved versus the amended budget. The next couple slides are just the general fund alone. On the general fund, this is by category. Some of the same things I've said before, the charges for services. So county clerk, recorder of deeds, circuit clerk, IT, and state's attorney all received revenue that exceeded their budget in that category, charges for services. That's what makes up most of that difference. On the expense side, one highlight again in the general fund, well, two highlights. Essentially, we are coming up right at budget for salaries and wages in the general fund. In the capital category, or in the other countywide category, 500,000 of what is remaining is software licensing and computer repair, 200,000 for telephone and cell phone. And same information, but by department. And this slide is general fund. We're lower primarily across all departments because of the general government revenue category, which is the sales tax revenue. On the expense side, IT, 422,000 of what's remaining is salaries. 233 of what is remaining is contractual services. Sheriff, again, this is just general fund now. 3.5 million of overages is salaries. 472,000 of the overage is detainee medical dental costs. 250,000 was operating supplies. Circuit clerk is under budget. In this fund, general fund, about 800,000 of what is remaining is salaries. The health insurance fund, we talked about this at the Human Services Committee, and also at the Finance and Budget Committee. The county has a internal service fund. It's called the Health Insurance Fund, and it is funded by all of the employee and employer contributions to our health and dental program. So that's collected from all of the funds across the county and deposited into this fund. And then from this fund, we pay our claims. Our broker has advised us that we should keep a fund balance. We've talked about having a target fund balance. Our broker has advised us in the past that we should keep a fund balance in this fund of somewhere between 25 and 50% to accommodate things like incurred but not reported claims and other perhaps if we had a significant amount of claims that just came up under insurance. So if you look at the last 3 years, our fund balance has grown from 6.4 to 9.3. And if you do the calculation on total expenses and what would a target fund balance be at 25 or 50%, and you go to the 24 column, we're closing in on the having 50% of our target as fund balance. 25%, we would need to maintain 5.1, 50%, we would need to maintain 10.3, and we have currently the end of 24, 9.3. These are the cash balances by department across the county. The way that the county allocates interest earned, and this is how the county has always done it. We have pooled cash. All of the funds across the county, except for a couple of debt service type funds, all of the cash is pooled, meaning we add up all of the bank accounts in the treasurer's office, and then that total is allocated to all the funds across the county. And then interest earned is allocated to each of those funds based on a simple percent to total. And that's how the county has been doing it historically for years. So if you look at and we have departments that manage multiple funds. So when you look at which departments have the most cash that they're overseeing and therefore would get most of the interest earned, obviously transportation has a significant amount of cash, general fund, ARPA, and then it goes down from there. And then I have one more slide presentation, one more page. This is tiny. I emailed this out to the board this morning. This was in response to a request. And the question was, what amount of reserves did we budget in each of our funds across the county? And then what amount of reserves did we actually use? Again, these numbers are not final because we still need to allocate interest earned. And there's a couple of items on the agenda today that are going to result in closing out some old COVID era funds and putting those monies back into the general fund to the tune of about $971,000. But if you go to the top of this page, so for the general fund, our original budget for 24, we had budgeted to use 11.5 million in fund balance. Throughout the year, there were various amendments. So our amended budget was 9.7. As of today, as of yesterday, we are at using 11.7 of fund balance. That's going to go down once there's 3 resolutions today that are going to move 971,000 into the general fund. So that will go down and it'll go down a little bit more because of interest earned. So any positive number in the actual column, that is fund balance that was utilized to pay for expenses. Where you see a negative, that means that when a fund's budget was put together, the plan was to use fund balance. They not only did not use fund balance, but they brought in more revenue than expenses. So if you kind of go down the page there, you look at all the negatives. The largest negatives that we have some in, there's a court automation fund. And if you can scroll down a little bit. I'm sorry, if you stop there. So in the transportation department, you can see we've got about 4 funds that, more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 funds that have negative fund balances. So if you look at, for example, Fund 305, transportation sales tax, they had planned to use 24.3 million of fund balance. Not only was that not utilized, but there was 14.5 more million dollars brought in revenue than spent. So that's a swing of essentially 38 million, excuse me, $38 million. So that's the end of the slides. The only other thing I wanted to just bring up to this committee today is the 2026 budget, believe it or not. So last year, we started the budget process in February. At the February Finance Committee meeting, we had sort of an introductory conversation with the Finance and Budget Committee on what was the plan and what would the calendar look like for the 26 budget. And then we started holding budgetary kickoff meetings with departments and elected officials in March. The Finance Department hasn't started anything yet, looking for direction. I know there's board members who are looking into the budget process. So the Finance Department will be waiting for direction from the board on the audit, the budget process this year.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. Are there any questions? Yes.
Is there any new business, new news about getting the interest revenue posted?
Oh, the bank reconciliation, we're still working on it.
Okay, if you need help, we're here. Help.
Sure. We have Mr. Surges and then Ms. Juby.
Kathy, I have three items. When you say we're working on it,
Why?
do you have the data and you're working on it, or you are still trying to acquire the data?
We have questions of how the accounts work and how transfers are made between accounts. And so I don't yet have all the answers to those questions. And some of those questions will, when you ask a question and you get an answer, it may turn into another question. So I don't even know that we have, I don't even know that I know all the questions that I have. But we don't yet have everything that we need.
And I'm sorry, were you answering to me, or were you?
I can also add to this. The treasurer is working with the banks to get the information based on the questions that I've ascertained in talking with both of them. I'm hoping to have some clarity on this week. If not, I'll report back and we'll kind of go from where we are, but I'm optimistic at this point that we can at least get this clarified of what's going on.
Madam Chair, I guess
Yes.
one of my fundamental
You
questions.
still have the microphone.
Thank you. One of my fundamental questions on this coming out of the meeting last week was, and again, I fully respect and understand the notion of, independent control, from the offices. But if this is county money, is the treasurer's office, regardless of who's sitting in that chair, the only person with access to those bank accounts? Or does our finance person equally should enjoy the ability to ask questions? Again, my comment last meeting was on a read-only basis, meaning this person can't give direction or transfer or blah, 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 blah. However, has access to data that she might need to report to this board. And I'm just not understanding if it's our money, if it's the treasurer's office money. I don't quite understand how that works.
I'll ask Mr. Frank answer that because I have, I could answer some of that, but I'll have Mr. Frank.
So we're still looking into the definitive answer on this because it's never really quite been dealt with at the state level or through case law. But the best I think we're ascertaining right now is that essentially the process of which the banks have a relationship with the county is one that is probably going to find itself strictly with the treasurer. The reason for this is the state has contemplated this idea of where there's a push-pull on the money issues. And that comes under the actual statute where the county board could look into impeachment processes if there's a problem, but there's very strict, limited reasons on why you could ever do that. And without getting into more of it, but the long story short is that seems to be the push-pull on questions like this. If the treasurer is giving you everything and all that, there's no mechanism for you to have a problem. Which is why I think if push came to shove on this, the courts would most likely say it is within his internal control. That said, I mean, obviously there is a mechanism for you all to use, but as of right now, I'm not really sure that that's an appropriate use right now. I do believe he is providing information. He is going and getting further information that's going to answer a lot of these questions. In fact, I'm under the impression it's going to happen pretty forthwith. So at right now, I think we're a little bit of a wait. I don't have any concerns right now that there's any money missing. I have no concerns about fraud. I have no concerns about documents missing. I think it's a matter of just making sure that everybody understands how things are being dealt with through this, bank situation.
And Madam Chair, I'm certainly not throwing stones or accusing anybody in any way, shape, or form. But
No
we
one
have
is.
just spent so much time on this that if we just understand the rules and who's responsible for what, I think we would have a much clearer, flashlight looking at that. You know what I'm saying? Secondly, Kathy, if we had questions, there was a meeting last night regarding the possible referendum, and there were questions asked at that meeting that I think you would have the answers to. How does this body like us to communicate those questions? Do we just ask them here publicly? Do you want them in writing? How would we get answers to some of those? What's the protocol that we want to establish on that?
Well, it was a town hall. So we'll have a series of town halls where the community members are certainly able to ask us questions that may be related to this referendum or on other items. The referendum is just giving concept. Why?
It was just our first one. I just want to understand how we want to.
As far as anything else that goes beyond that, as long as it's in writing, I think it should go to the correct department. But if you could copy me, and at the department or the committee chair that would be related to. So if it's Bill or Roth or Leslie Juby, so that they are aware of that question, and that then it can be responded to appropriately by one of our staff members.
Happy to. Comment, congratulations on the audit and falling well within tolerance. Yay us. On your budget items, there's been some conversation, at least that I've had, talking about how we might look at the budget process differently and how we would handle, certain situations. I brought up that while it's my impression that I'm just going to use the sheriff's office as an example. While it's my impression that the sheriff's office has returned money at the end of the year for a couple of years, that based on the slide that I saw from you last meeting, that maybe he's not in that position or that office isn't in that position this year, and maybe they may have overspent a little bit. How would we, or is it easy for you to supply us with some history of the department saying, yes, for a 5-year trend, these groups have always performed under budget and returned this much back in, or these are the departments or offices that have always spent more than, and I'm not, for legitimate reasons, maybe we just didn't give them enough money to begin with, or, but can we see where could we see those trends? Is there a snapshot? Is there a dashboard where we click a doodle and?
Well, in every committee packet, every month, we put the trends, we put I think it's like a 4 or 5 year trend for every department by line item. And including little trend lines, although albeit they're very tiny. We could certainly just collapse those reports if you just wanted to have totals by department and send the board a report, totals.
Is that like a ton of work, or can?
No.
I would appreciate that, just to kind of, maybe the word is calibrate me to understand, so that I'm just not shooting from the hip and I'm actually giving data during conversations. I would appreciate, and I don't go to a bunch of the other committees that I'm not involved with. I sit at this level, but at this level, I don't have that information to comment on. So I would appreciate that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It was quite a bit.
Sorry.
Ms. Juby.
Thank you. I just have two. On page 4 of Kathy's presentation, it was mentioned that development, environment, and OCR all manage money a little bit differently. Does that mean that the numbers on here are not correct?
No, the numbers are correct. It's just who's managing them. So back in the day, programs like CDBG, Home, were all part of the development department. We actually do not have a department number for OCR. All of the funds that they manage have the name development on them. There are some funds that the environmental management department manages that also have the name development on them. So it's just a matter of, we're actually having a conversation. Do we need to create a new department number called OCR? Change all these codes. It doesn't change the actual expenses. It's just how it's classified. So when you're one of those department heads responsible for their budget, when I press a button and it out of our accounting software and it kicks out a report and I say, give it to me by department, it's going to spit this out. But you'd actually have to go in there under development and manually pull out some of the stuff that belongs to OCR and some of the stuff that belongs to environment. So the numbers, all the numbers, the expenses are accurate. It's just who's managing it.
It's a housekeeping issue.
It's a tricky housekeeping because we don't want to skew history, because once we change all the codes in the system, it changes them all the way back to the beginning.
Right. Okay. And then my second question is related to a comment you made. Can I ask? A comment you made about board members looking into the budget process. By board members, do you mean the finance committee?
That's up to the board.
I think for clarification, remember Mr. Roth, when he was giving his presentation about why he feels that he would be the best candidate to run as vice chair. He said that he wanted to look into, he had a comment about the budget process. So I asked him, and I believe he's doing research and he'll be able to share with us a little bit his recommendations on the budgeting process. So that was his task to do. And I'm sure he's been working on it with due diligence.
But isn't that the job of the finance committee to do that, and the
Well,
finance committee alone?
The finance committee will be responding to his recommendations. That was his comment, Ms. Juby, and I asked him for clarification.
Well, no, I understand him. I just
That's all.
don't
That's
understand
all.
why the finance committee isn't the one who's looking into it. Two meetings ago, Chairman Berman had asked us to come to finance with our ideas on the budget process, to come up with at least 2 changes that we should
Excellent,
make.
Excellent.
We did not do that at the last meeting because Mr. Berman was not there and it was not on the agenda for Mr. Leonard to bring up. So I'm just a little confused why a board member outside of that committee would be generating any type of questioning or any type of comments when that is the purpose of the finance committee. I understand it's something he offered to do, but to me, it's inappropriate that it's not coming through the committee that actually handles that.
Well, the recommendation would be said by the vice chair and would be up for the finance committee to consider those recommendations and to act on them or not.
Okay, I just would like to go on record as saying I disagree with that process, but
That's-
thank you for doing that. And I look forward to seeing it at the finance committee, but I disagree with the process.
I mean, my plan is to run everything by finance first. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm just making recommendations, but I'm only one of 24. And we need to all work together.
And it is under his description as recommendations can come forth from the board to recommend special projects for the vice chair. Yes, Mr. Tepe.
Thank you. Tepe here. I have 2 points, Madam Chair. First point I want to make is one of the slides that Kathy presented showed that KDOT has a tremendous amount of funds in the fund balance. And I want to make it fairly clear that most of those funds are already committed. Okay, in order for KDOT to commit to a project and begin establishing contracts, they have to have funding. So every department has its nuances, KDOT being one of them. And so in the next 2 months with the Transportation Committee, we're going to be presenting some things that'll hopefully make the KDOT budgeting process a little bit clearer to people. Okay. My second point is what Mr. Surgis talked about initially, which were some questions according to the finishing of some of the numbers. Okay. All of that was discussed in a closed door session in the last finance meeting. During that closed door discussion, on 3 occasions, I objected to that being discussed in a closed meeting. I feel that that's information that should all be public, and at least it should be available to the board members. So I would suggest that any board member that did not attend that meeting ask for permission to see the recording of that particular meeting so that they understand the discussions that ensued about that. Thank you.
I believe, thank you, Mr. Tepe. Any board member can go to the clerk's office and sit down and listen to that recording. So it is available fully for you. And I would think that recommendation is a sound recommendation from Mr. Tepe, simply if you know what happened and what was discussed. And there's no opinion about that, but just information. Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you. I think Ms. Gums had a question.
Oh, thank
She's on the executive committee. I'm not, so.
Oh, thank
Nope.
you.
I did, but I don't know. Thank you,
Okay.
though. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you for all the detail.
Mr.
Kathy.
Roth, do you want to address the executive committee?
Yes, may I please?
Yes, briefly though.
Thank you. Yes. So just one question about great detail here, but usually when I look at budgets, there's a budget and then where you stand relative to the budget. And I notice we use adopted budget and amended budget and then achieved versus both. So I'm just curious, you don't need to answer this now, but one of them is what we're using and there's 2. So it might be a little simpler if we just say, because I think the board approves a budget and that's the budget that stays in place until the new budget comes up. So if we could get rid of the others, that
Well,
might help.
So amended budget, so throughout the year, resolutions are brought forward to the county board where there might be a change in programming or new revenue streams or unexpected expenses. And as part of those resolutions, the budget is actually amended. So we have an annual appropriation and budget, and then by statutes, anything that is changed after the annual budget is called an emergency appropriation. So, but we do have an amended budget,
Thank
an
you.
actual amended budget.
One other quick thing, and it follows on what Mr. Sturgis is saying, and you offered to do this, Kathy. I think it'd be great for all departments to do this, is that we get lots of good information and, you know, things are going up, things are going down. The analogy I'll use is I go to my doctor and he tells me my weight, my height, my blood pressure, my cholesterol and all that kind of stuff. And if he stopped there, I'd go, and am I dying? Am I going to be okay? So just, are there things you would like to say, board, you need to notice this, this, and this kind of thing?
So we put out every month in the packets, we put out a ton of detail.
Mhm.
So in every committee packet are pages and pages and pages. I think it's landscape, legal paper, by line item, by department, by fund, with I think a 4 or 5 year actual trend history by line item, and it's subtotaled by category, by department. It's all in there. If you want to look at some roll-ups in the monthly finance director's report, I have a page every month that shows salaries, just salaries, not benefits, just salaries by department for the last over 10 years. So you can see how costs have grown. So there's just lots of ways to look at the information. We don't mind putting together special reports, but there's tons of detail out there every month in all the packets. I think what I'm hearing is just more summary information is better.
I would concur. Yes.
To paraphrase Mr. Gripe, I think we want a prognosis.
Prognosis.
Are things good? Are they?
Well, I mean, for 2024, we had departments under budget significantly, and we had departments over budget. So I think you need to, obviously the board can, you know, talk to those department heads or elected officials. A lot of it had to do with salaries and capital.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you, Ms. Hopkinson. Your reports are very thorough. And I think most of the board has commented on that you have, the comment that I've heard the most is that you have pulled back the curtain for all of us in understanding what the nuances of our budget is, and it's much appreciated and very complex, very complex. All right. If there's nothing else, Ms. Mann.
Good morning. I'll start with 4-H Day, which is coming up on March 11th. Each year we have a government day here at the county. 4-H members come, spend the day with us. They will be going to the Forest Preserve Committee, and then they will be going to the auditorium to learn about our different departments. And I want to thank KCAM and Sarah in Sustainability, Animal Control, and the Office of Emergency Management, who will be putting on presentations that I thought would be most interesting to the 4-H group, but they will be here on the 11th. We continue to have blood drives. The next one is March 3rd. The American Red Cross is grateful. Every time we have one, the donations go up. So they're very excited to continue to partner with us. Health Department's been making a lot of news. They've been getting a lot of play. They were on ABC7. They were on WBBM News Radio regarding their naloxone dispensers that are now in 2 ERs in Copley and in Sherman Hospital, and then their behavioral 360 dashboard. They've gotten some play with that, with the releases that we sent out. I was invited to sit with the Regional Office of Education and the different communicators from the different school districts just to get to know them. I'm trying to, again, this year make it a priority to have a countywide communicators group. So in the event that we have something happen that we can all pull together, that would include park districts, school districts, library districts, beyond the scope of what emergency management would do and just Kane County in general. So we're working with that. Proclamations. Oh, wait, we do have a story, look for it in Kane County Connects. We have an employee who just hit their 50-year mark of service. I'll save you the surprise, but yes, this is unprecedented. So article coming up, so make sure to check your King County Connects coming up shortly. The proclamations, so we do have proclamations coming. I know that there was questions raised during the county board meeting last month on how proclamations come to be. Mr. Roth did a nice job of trying to kind of capsulize what we did to get to where we are today. So I am still working with the King County State's Attorney's Office to come up with a simple proclamation policy. But I think what I'd like to do is just say that, you know, Anita and Bill and I sat down, we went through the list of all of the awareness days and months. I'll make this simple. We came up with some core proclamations that made sense. We also came up with some additional ones that we thought outreach would be interesting. Thus the reason for the National Poverty Awareness Month proclamation. I was able to bring you statistics that were important to King County to kind of showcase where we are. I brought the Northern Illinois Food Bank in as an outreach for someone to talk about it. I'd like to continue to do that with some of these proclamations. You will see one for Black History Month on your agenda today. You will also see one for National Cancer Prevention Month, which I thought it would be interesting to have an oncologist come in from Delnor. You have statistics in that show you where the cancer rates are in the county to talk a little bit about prevention and what have you. So that's where we are. I would like to also say that I'm going to be sending out all of the proclamation ideas, and I'm going to ask that county board members sign on to those proclamations so that people know why they were brought forward. It's not just me doing it. It's because a certain board member, certain board members felt this proclamation was important to put on the agenda. So we will continue to do that. It can all go through my office. I'm happy to put them together, get them on the agenda. The outreach has a board member attached to it. I also will say that the Black History Month proclamation, I've asked Mr. Roth to amend it for a scrivener's error regarding the population, but that's that. And let's see what else. Is that it? That's it. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
There are any questions? Yes, Mr. Surges.
I love this 4-H thing. It is the coolest thing. And if we ever want people to not be afraid of running for public office and be engaged, start with the youth. But I'll be gosh darned if every year it winds up being the longest dang meeting we've ever had, and we're going to executive sessions, and you know, it's not the big feel good meeting that we want it to be for these young people. And if I'm mistaken here, I invite my brethren to jump on board, but Julie, maybe if we can put a little structure to this and say, hey, if we're going to go executive session, you guys are dismissed, you know, maybe we can manage that a little bit differently. And I don't know whose office that would be, but Madam Chair or yourself, but I think we can do a little bit better job on that. So,
Madam Chair. So yes, we did try to structure it. That way we thought that it would be very friendly to come to the Forest Preserve Committee meeting and sit in on that meeting with trees and birds and squirrels and things that were very positive. Watch how you all interact and what you do. And then perhaps we will have a proclamation for Government Day where we can bring them in, recognize them for the county board, and then they will leave you and go downstairs since they've already seen you in Forest Preserve, and they will learn about animal control, 911, Office of Emergency Management, preparedness, sustainability, things that I thought, again, they could see how government works, but on a level that might really interest them.
thank you.
Yes.
Hands up. We've been doing that for the last couple of years. And the only problem, to follow up what you have to say, is that sometimes our board meeting lasts longer than the 4-H students are here, and we cannot go downstairs and have lunch with them. So that is oftentimes a problem to
Let
interact
Bill
with
out
them.
and he can go.
Yeah. we can have them go for a walk. Yes.
Madam Chair Gumbs, I appreciate you bringing that up. I know last year was uncomfortable. It really was a mind blow, but we always have the ability to take a recess. So if we wanted to do lunch with them, if folks in this room were prepared for a super long day, and I think that like is a hint, maybe we can make it a little bit better for them.
I think the gauntlet has been thrown that we will have an efficient meeting when the 4-H people are here. That's an aspirational goal. All right, anything else? Thank you, Ms. Mann. Thank you. All right, is there any old business that needs to be brought up? I know none. All righty. Any new business that'd like to be addressed? None. All righty. Well, let's go into the preliminary county board agenda then. Mr. Caius? You are online?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
yes, I'm online. I would, with the permission of the committee and permission of Madam Juby, ask that she present those resolutions today.
Okay, very good. Ms. Juby, please.
All right, we have 7 resolutions for your consideration. The first resolution is authorizing an updated capital projects from the capital fund, which is an additional $11,746,452. That's on page 32. If anyone is trying to see what the additional projects are on page 33. The resolution's on page 32. Do we have any questions? Okay,
Motion.
do I make a motion? Someone make a motion? Well, I'm new to this.
Move Surges.
Wait, is it consent agenda? Don't we approve them all?
Unless
No.
we can go through them all and then ask if anybody would like to pull one off for further discussion. And instead of having to go through one at a time,
Okay with that?
we can go through each one.
Can she read each one?
She can,
individually?
yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it is a consent agenda. So
I'm
just read them
reading
all
each
down.
One with the dollar amounts. Okay. Second one is authorizing a contract extension with FE Moran, Inc. for Kane County Building Automation System and Repair Services. That's an on-call as needed, not to exceed $200,000. The third is a resolution authorizing additional expenditure of funds from the fiscal year 2025 budget for annual roof inspection, repair, and replacement services with Weather Guard Roofing Company. That is $1,096,093.75 for the boiler house at Third, the Elgin Health Department building, and Building B at the Government Center. Next resolution is authorizing an agreement with White and Company for the Third Street Courthouse window replacement project for $54,500, which is coming out of the Judiciary Facility Fees Fund. Next one is authorizing an agreement with White and Company for pavement management design for Kane County. That's $285,500. Next one is authorizing a 3-year enterprise agreement for S3 for desktop and server platform for the Kane County GIS Technology Department. It's a 3-year agreement, not to exceed $940,000. The last one is authorizing an extension for professional services for consulting and project management with Define.net Solutions for Information Technology Department. It's the second and final extension, not to exceed $400,000.
All right. Do you have a second? Somebody second
8
this?
seconds.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would,
Ms. Combs.
trying
yes.
to be more efficient here. I will be pulling from the consent. I don't know now is it appropriate time. I think it is. I will be pulling C.
The roof inspection.
I think it's 25,044.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there? We have a motion and a second to approve all. There has been a request to pull C. So with that, do I have?
Point of order.
Yes,
I don't think I heard a motion to pull it, so I think it was just informative that Ms. Gums will be pulling it.
yes, that's
So I think
correct.
it would stay on the consent.
It's going to be staying
Well,
on. consent.
I would move to remove it from the consent agenda. I mean, and if it's efficiency, we're trying to get more efficient here. So
Do you want to?
executive, I'm going to move to remove it from consent agenda and ask for a second.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Juby seconds.
Okay, Ms. Juby seconds. I don't think can you lead this?
No, point of order.
Yes.
I thought we didn't vote until we went through all the department consent agenda. Everyone puts in a request to pull from consent, and then we do one vote for consent agenda.
I will ask
No.
state's attorney, but we
That-
shouldn't.
that's been
take
our
up on
normal
this all the
process.
time. Could we have?
So
some
that's my
parliamentary
understanding of your
advice?
normal process for county board.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not been my understanding of your normal process for executive. My understanding for your process for executive is each department head goes through theirs. There's a
Okay.
vote at the end of it. Technically, this would be the appropriate time to make a motion to amend what's ultimately being approved. So since there's a motion, and a second on the floor, you're up for discussion for the motion to remove.
All right, so we go through the process. There's a motion and a second to remove C. Is there any conversation about this? Seeing none, clerk call the roll to remove C from the consent agenda.
Alan,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
This is to remove it from consent.
Okay.
Berman. I don't think he's participating. Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Yeah.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Wonder did not show up. Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Was that yes or no? Yes. Okay, sorry. Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Okay, it is removed from consent. All right, so we have let's go back to the original request to move items A, B, removing C, D, E, F, and G. Moved.
Gums will second.
Second, roll call.
Point of order.
Yes. Yes,
I
sir.
thought we had a motion pending. We had a motion pending to approve was.
We did.
made-
We did.
So we don't need another
Correct.
motion. We just vote on the motion that was
Yes.
already.
Okay. All right, so we are taking consent or roll call on the rest of them.
Roll call.
Roll call, yes.
All right, for clarification, then to move all the six, was it Juby and Bates that motion second or Surges and Gums?
Was.
The original.
Juby.
Original one.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay.
Our staff is such a blessing.
Alan,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Yeah.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Juby, are we going to discuss C? It's been pulled.
I think we were
Right.
just, I think we were
just
just
pulled from
putting it
consent.
off of consent.
So it's off consent?
Yeah, I thought-
So it'll go off consent then for the full board.
And Madam Chair, if I might just for clarity, it's just because I think we're all trying to get a little bit more efficient. You included, this makes it easier at county board so that we have a consent agenda. We can just whip right through that sucker. And
I get it.
I'm being optimistic like you are, but I just, in an effort to be more efficient, that's the only reason I'm doing it.
Okay.
So.
Off consent for the board agenda.
Madam Chair, Surges,
So,
I move resolution C from administration
Caius.
authorizing additional expenditure of funds to the county board agenda.
Caius,
Off
second.
Off consent.
Correct.
Yeah, you still need to actually approve it. It's just what you did was you didn't actually take it up under the consent, so you still need to approve it up to the county board.
Okay, all right, very good.
I just wrote, sorry, I need further clarification. So when Gums and Juby motioned and second to remove C from the consent agenda, that was not, what was that? That we did a roll call on?
So that was specific to whether or not it would go up under the consent agenda. So this will be a separate thing where now they're moving to move it up to the county board under the non-consent agenda. Otherwise, technically speaking, it can't go back, it can't go up to the county board without Madam Chair's independent authority for that.
Then, real quickly, who seconded Surges?
I think
Caius.
Caius did, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion, a second on the floor to move this item off consent. Roll call.
Yeah, we already voted to move it off consent.
Alan,
No,
Bates. Yes, I'll make my next motion more clear. B,
Shuby, I.
Caius,
Guys, yes, please do.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Doesn't matter.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
I'm not clear what we're voting on.
you're to move it off consent on county board.
Okay, then yes. Thank you.
Burgess,
Yes.
Tepe,
That'd be yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Okay. All right. Let's see if agriculture can make it through. All right.
Yes. Michelle, please don't have any questions. All right, A, resolution authorizing a one-year extension and amending the contract limit for Ellen Camps to provide continued food and agriculture consulting services. It's an increase of $160,000, bringing the not to exceed amount to $450,000. It's for the development and application materials for the Food to Farm Resiliency Grant and the pollinators. So she does good work and we would like to continue that extension. Is there a motion?
Roth will second.
Okay, any discussion on this contract, extension of this contract?
Do them both.
And then do it again, please.
A resolution authorizing a one-year contract extension with New Venture Advisors to provide food and agriculture consulting services. It's a one-year extension for $305,000, which is the same as what was in the initial contract amounts. There was no increase.
Oh, no, there's no moving altogether. So these two, there's a motion on the table. Is there a second to approve these two items?
Roth will second.
Thank you. With no further discussion on these items, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Shuby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
That'd be yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Very good. Well, those two items will go on to the consent agenda. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Development Committee has one resolution for your consideration. This morning would move for the approval of resolution authorizing renewal of a contract for continuum of care support services for 2025. I believe it's on page 98 of your agenda package. I would also note that this is entirely funded by grant funds.
Correct. Correct. Is there a second?
Roth will second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I have one question, just, well, not even question, potential comment. These are federal dollars. I'm sure that they're on hold right now for the 90-day review. Is that clear? Is that correct?
I could not answer that question. I don't know the status of the funding. Maybe Mr. Van Kerkhoff, or actually, Mr. Berger, is he on the line? This is his department.
I believe that is correct. But I will confirm that when the full board meets. Okay, just so you know. Yes, ma'am.
There is a
Stay.
what is it called here? Restraining order that was filed and all funding must go forward. Compels the White House Office Management and Budget to unfreeze all spending, and they must comply and provide such by February 7th. That was filed or ordered night before last. So maybe.
Okay, okay. All right. If you can have our lobbyists keep us updated on that, because there's a significant, I think there
Oh,
are
yes.
26 different grants that are being held up right now. I mean, that's just for the government side.
According to the, Gums here again, according to that ruling night before last, they must unfreeze that money by February 7th.
Okay.
So yes.
This is Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, with no further discussion, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges abstain.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good. Mr. Roth?
Okay. The first one is proclamation recognizing February 25th is National History Month.
Black
Black History, sorry. National Black History. I do have an amendment. There's a scribbler error in the resolution. The number of approximate residents change. We would like to change from 516,000 to 515,000. Okay.
I think that's a Scribner's error that we can all accept.
Okay. And there you go.
515 from.
All right, the next one is proclamation honoring February 2025 as National Cancer Prevention Month in King County. Third one is a resolution. Let me get to that. Bear with me here. Appointment to a Board of Trustee to the Burlington Community Fire Protection District, Philip A. Demency III. The fourth one is the acknowledging the annual review of number of P cards issued to the county board in each of their transactional limit. And currently there's one for a single purchase of 1,000, credit limit 10,000.
Gums will move.
Williams, seconds.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair, Williams.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Just briefly on item number 3. This is my district. I did interview Mr. Demenza. He's a former chief of the Winfield Fire Department. He's extremely qualified to serve this district and probably one of the most qualified people I've ever talked to in the fire service. So I wholeheartedly endorse him for this position.
And I would concur. I would certainly concur. Ms. Juby?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment on the same thing, that rarely do we ever get somebody so qualified for these volunteer positions. So thank you for calling it out. I was also going to think, wow, we got really lucky.
Yes, we do have outstanding people who do volunteer for Kane County's committees with questions across the board. But he is to be commended for his experience and willingness to participate. So with no further questions, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth. Passes.
Okay, very good. Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Madam.
Madam Chair, point of order, please.
Yes.
As people go through, would they please not say 1 and 2 when we have letters assigned?
Oh,
It's
sure.
been a little confusing for me, so you could say A, B, C, and D instead of 1, 2, and 3.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 12 items for your consideration to move forward. The first item is item A. It's approving December 2024 claims in the amount of $25,592. $25,592,934.13. Second resolution B approves a supplemental budget adjustment and authorizing execution of a collective bargaining agreement with the coroner's office in the amount of $17,598.01 in the year
Microphone, please.
24.
Microphone, please.
Oh. It's on, I guess it wasn't close enough. All right, the second one,
B,
is item B, as in boy, and that is for a budget adjustment authorizing the execution of a collective bargaining agreement for the coroner's bargaining office. The amount in 24 is $17,598.01. In 25, it's $24,203.46. The third resolution, item C, is authorizing the execution of a collective bargaining agreement between the County of Kane, Kane County Sheriff, and Teamsters Local 700, Kane County Sheriff's Office, and Court Security Offices. There is no amount on that. Item D, a resolution authorizing authorization to approve an agreement with Barry Dunn for strategic planning services in the amount of $127,500. The next resolution, item E, is authorizing external audits pursuant to the county auditing law. Number 55, Illinois CS 56-3105 in the amount of $4,000. The next item is a resolution authorizing a salary adjustment for the administrator of the Kane County Animal Control Center. This is an item that, once we get through all the items, I'm going to ask that this be moved back to committee. The amount of that is $16,703.66. The next item, G, is authorizing an interfund loan for the payment of the Office of Community Reinvestment Programs expense from the general fund in instances where funding agreements or reimbursements are delayed. There's no amount on that. The next item, item H, is a resolution for an emergency appropriation to transfer funds from the FEMA PA Administration Fund number 358 to the general fund, general account 001, in the amount of $155,158.67. The next resolution, item I, is an emergency appropriation for transfer of funds from the Coronavirus Relief Fund number 353 to the general fund in the amount of $80,243.58. Our next item, item J, is a resolution for an emergency appropriation for transfer of funds from the Mass Vaccination Fund number 354 to the general fund in the amount of $555,816.64. The next resolution, item K, is a budget transfer to correct the 24-25 budgets and transfer the budget from contractual services to personnel services. This was related to election judges and workers in the amount of $1,153,410. And the last item, item L, is a resolution authorizing the Illinois Supreme Court Disability and Accessibility Improvement Funding allocation in the amount of $8,412.35. I need a motion to move these forward
Madam
with the
Chair.
exclusion of item F.
Madam Chair Gums.
Yes, Ms. Gums.
I would like
Well, we have
to-
a motion. Do we have a second before we can go
Williams
further with
moves.
discussion?
Molina seconds.
Sorry.
Mr. Williams moves and Molina seconds
Okay, okay,
the motions.
okay, very good. Thank you. All right, there's a motion and a second. Ms. Gums.
Gums, I would make a motion to move D off of consent and place that on a county board under non-consent agenda and ask for a second.
Second it. Lewis seconds.
Okay, there's a motion, a second to move D. Yes.
May I make a suggestion, since we're gonna kind of do this new process? Just move forward the actual like set of things. After it's motioned and seconded, we get into discussion, then do what you essentially just did, which is make a motion to remove from
One of the
consent.
items.
And then here's the key part, and move it to the off consent part. So we don't have to do it two ways. So can I modify can I ask for a modification of the original motion? Move all the way from A to L,
All 12.
all 12, and then separately make a motion to amend just like we did for D. And then, but that way, and then we can go to the other one.
That sounds.
Because otherwise we're gonna get,
Back and forth.
it's gonna get weird real quickly.
That,
It's not just me.
I'm
I'm-
just trying, people.
like,
This is supposed to be a new process that we're just,
well, I apologize. I honestly know it's new and it's all this stuff. I'm just trying to be a little bit more efficient. That's all.
all
So
right, well,
we'll get it down, Pat.
sometimes doing new things is less efficient than doing things the other way, but.
I
all
didn't
right,
even
so
know I
here
was
we
going to
go.
do this until today.
Here we go. So we're going to take a vote on,
First,
all
we're going to
items.
modify our motion,
I would move to
Thank you.
modify my motion to include A to L.
Thank you.
and I will second that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. No further discussion? No?
There is discussion.
So now go ahead and let her make her motion to amend to take it off and put it on off consent.
Okay, so we have two that have to be
Yes.
made.
Yeah, let's start with the first and we can immediately move to Leonard's,
Going
just so
out
we-
of order.
that's fine. Yep.
Okay, so Gums, I will reiterate my motion to remove D from consent
To,
and place it on county board under non-consent and ask for a second.
and Lewis seconds. And, okay, seconds. Okay, very, very good. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I'll equally be asking for item G.
Oh, wait a minute. We're still, we
yeah,
can't,
hold on.
one
We're
at a
on
time.
discussion of that
One at a
motion to
time. We're
amend.
just on D. We can't do them, lump them all
Our motion to
together.
move.
Okay, is there any discussion about moving this off consent? Yes, Ms. Molina.
I'm going to just ask discussion now because if there are questions on this, then I think it's important that whoever's able to answer the questions has time to answer them. So if I may ask Ms. Gums a question. Ms. Gums, is there a specific reason that you're asking for this to be removed from consent agenda?
There is, the reason is I will be having a few words to say about this. I am recognizing that how do I say this? I'm a little confused as to what's being asked of the county board, frankly, because there is some documents out there criticizing us for not having a strategic plan. And now we're hearing today that we should not go forward to acquire a strategic plan. And I would like to have some words about that at the county board.
Yes, ma'am.
So, had she not moved it, I was going to, just because I want some discussion on how we came about picking this group. And I just kind of wanted to, because I know there was other counties that are using them. And I didn't see a whole lot in about, how they felt about it. So I just kind of wanted more because this is so important to moving the county forward. So I totally back the strategic plan. I just want to make sure we have the right partner.
Yes, Mr.
Madam
Sturgis.
Chair, on item D, I think we had a member of the
Oh,
audience.
hold on a second. Whoa, don't, oh, you,
We're on item.
oh, we're
D.
stumped. My apologies. Yes, go,
Sure.
please.
I think we had a member of the audience bring up an issue regarding a class action lawsuit that this particular vendor is involved with. My specific question between now and the board meeting, was that disclosed to us? I don't remember discussing that in any way, shape, or form.
Ms.
And-
Hopkinson is up here.
No, it's not in their disclosures. We have a call into them. From what we can gather, it was a third-party company that they hired. And the third-party company experienced the data breach, and then this is a lawsuit against them as well.
I would just like some time to, I mean, between now and the meeting, I would like to confer with the state's attorney just to find out. It seems to me if you're a vendor vying for our contract and you have a lawsuit of this magnitude, there is a disclosure that should have been made and we weren't privy to, and to find out about it in this format, that just doesn't really sit well with me. So.
But I'll add this. Our RFP didn't explicitly ask for disclosures.
Yeah, let's
We
fix,
checked that.
let's fix that on the next round,
Yes,
huh?
it's already fixed.
Thank you.
It's already fixed.
Has-
And just fixing
Already
it
fixed.
doesn't mean it changes the attitude and the concern,
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
yeah, you understand what I'm saying.
So I would suggest if, because their contract is going to be voted on, if they could come and give comment, if appropriate, just to explain, or could you offer their explanation with their words?
Sure.
I would want
And,
that
and
in
just
writing.
on the process, we issued an RFP, we got 9 bids. We had several board members sit in on the evaluation process and they were selected. We had, I think 6 or 7 department heads and they were selected hands down.
Hands,
clear-
I mean, hands
Clear
down.
winner.
But you left out a pretty big brick. I mean,
Right. But what I would also say, because I just was having this discussion down the hall with our purchasing team, we're not explicitly asking this of any vendors, really. So
let's fix that.
yeah, it's fixed.
Yes, sir.
The one qualification I would tell you is you need to be very specific. The county board needs to be very specific on what kind of lawsuit disclosures you want. I don't know of a single company that hasn't probably found it of a certain size that hasn't found itself alleged to have done something. This is different. Obviously, they agreed to a settlement, which is, fundamentally different than being accused of something. So you need to be very specific on what the disclosure needs to be, because otherwise you might get a lot of disclosures that are a page long worth of allegations. Doesn't mean they paid out anything. So just be very careful on that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, duly noted, when we put the RFP together, you can advise us appropriately.
Madam Chair Sanchez.
Mr. Sanchez, yes, sir.
Thank you. Just a quick glance of that lawsuit. It looked like there was a vendor that they utilized for certain types of services that experienced a data breach from hackers. So they did choose a settlement. I guess it's a judgment call whether or not, it should be that the main company's fault, but it wasn't that the actual company we're hiring that was actually at the center of that lawsuit. So just a little food for thought.
Okay, all righty. Appreciate that. And we'll further, that was noted by Kathleen. But thank you, Mr. Sanchez, for your research. It's advantageous to have a computer in front of you so you can quickly look. All right, with no other discussion, I believe we have to take a vote on D. Now, clerk, call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
I
Caius,
Dias, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Okay, D is off consent for the board. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With respect to item F, resolution authorizing a salary adjustment for the administrator of the Kane County Animal Control Center in the amount of $16,703.66. I'd like a motion and a second to move this back to committee per the request of the committee chairman, Ms. Strathman.
Williams moves.
Thank you, Mr. Is there any discussion on this? Ms. Ju?
I just have a question. Why is this going back?
We haven't followed committee process with this.
I thought we had it in.
Yep.
We did not. It should have started in, we're going it back to public health to make
Okay.
sure that we cross all the Ts
Okay.
and dot all the Is and bring it forth again.
But we had it in finance, correct?
Ms. Juby, it was inadvertently put on the agenda for finance. We were not made aware of the fact that it hadn't gone through committee. So we approved it to move it forward, then found out after the meeting that in fact it should have never been on the agenda. So now that is why we're moving it back to committee.
So it has nothing to do with the actual person that we're talking about
Oh, no,
or the
no.
amount?
No.
Like to make that very
Procedural.
clear, it was a procedural error on our part. All right, thank you.
To that point, Madam Chair,
Yes,
Is
yes,
it- is
Mr.
it-
Caius.
point of order, is it necessary to vote on this or can the chair just pull it?
Just to-
Look, you've
to
already
move it
started the
back.
process. You might as well just vote
Just-
on
We're
it.
going to vote on it.
But one quick point, a legal point for this is committee process is a choice. Technically speaking, if it finds its way onto executive, if it wasn't done properly through by Madam Chair, moving it on to executive, it is properly before executive. So if you're sending it back, it's a choice of this executive board to commit to the committee process. The other thing I'll say is order of standing committees does not matter. So if it went to finance, it can go to another one. So are you saying it did not go to your committee at all, or was the order of it?
It went to our committee, it did not pass,
Okay,
and it should not have been on finance committee and should have been pulled, but wasn't.
okay. So it's purely up to Madam Chair on purposes of whether you want to pull it at this point.
Yes, at the advice of our Director of Human Resources and conversation, Ms. Strathman, it is going to be pulled and it'll be discussed at that committee, at your committee, ma'am.
Any other questions?
So we don't have to take a vote? No,
Yeah, we
ready to go.
we have to vote on.
We have a motion.
We have a motion on the floor.
So technically speaking, it can be pulled by Madam Chair because technically the reason it was put on was through her authority. So she can also pull it. If you want to take the vote, you can, but it was not put on the vote through committee process, which means the board is not really in control of it.
I would recommend, since it has been a motion and a second and it's been brought forward to this committee, that this committee, just for sanity purposes, goes ahead and takes the vote to recommend bringing it back to its host department or host committee, which is,
Madam Chair, I would amend my motion and to refer it back to Ms. Strathman's committee
okay, thank you.
versus putting it off consent.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Would you accept that?
That's all.
I didn't second, but yes, I think that was the original motion.
Okay, who did second it?
It was-
Williams. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. All right, lots of conversation. Take the roll call, please.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Maybe
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Lena, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
All right, Human Services.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair,
hold on just a second.
He has another one.
Oh, you have another one?
And item G.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion. Pull item G off of consent. And move it to off consent agenda.
Okay, all right, off consent. Is there a second for
Judy
this?
seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Chuby.
Madam Chair, question on this?
Yes.
Bill, when you read these through, I thought we said that this was an item without a dollar amount affixed to it. Yet I thought we discussed this at length at finance, saying it was 600,000, but then maybe we wanted to bump it up to 1 million. And then we said, well, let's bring it back down to 6. So how did we go from that conversation to now there's no dollar figure and we're passing something that doesn't have a dollar figure?
Can't answer that. This is what was.
Yeah,
put
so
on
I'm
the agenda
removing it from
today.
consent
Maybe
until that's.
Mr. Roth.
There is a dollar figure on the executive summary.
568, it says the resolution authorizes up to 600,000.
Madam Chair, I remove my objection to this on consent.
Thank
So-
you. The back. Yes, sir, and we can explain what the background information.
Don't
of
need it.
this-
I'm good.
One point of clarification, can Blair pull up the actual resolution? Just so you're all aware, the only legal effect of anything is the therefore paragraph. So if the therefore paragraph does not have $600,000 on it, then theoretically speaking, you would have to go to the whereases. So if it's unclear to everybody, you probably need to, so, okay, it is 600,000, so you're good.
Yep, I'm okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, withdrawn. All righty. So G is not.
Read enough. That's it. Just
Excellent, excellent. And that's pretty standard, standard protocol that we've had for a very long period of time. All right, that is completed. Now we have to take the roll. We did take the roll. We're ready. Cliff, you're next.
We didn't vote on
Well,
the,
We didn't vote on the other items. We voted on moving 2 items.
No, I think we
Is-
did.
Oh,
We did, we did.
yeah,
No,
Yes, we
I don't
did.
think
but
so.
this is not going to be placed off consent on county board anymore, correct?
G is not off consent. It's on
Okay,
consent.
thank you.
Okay. Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Surges.
We have a resolution housekeeping item amending the personnel policy handbook section regarding absences and tardiness.
Okay, second, please.
Lewis seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Conversation, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tuppy,
Tuppy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Excellent. Okay, very good. Ms. Lewis.
We just have one resolution, adopting a contract extension with GMCI for the continued marketing of the Fabulous Fox National Water Trail.
Bates
It's-
moves. Strathman seconds.
Guys, it's for 150,000 and it is budgeted. Can I have a motion in a second?
Spades thing.
Bates is good.
Any conversation about the Fabulous Fox Water Trail? Okay. With seeing none, clerk call the roll, please.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Gums, Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tuppy,
Tuppy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good. I was, before we leave this, I was going for a walk. I wanted to see some eagles up in Carpentersville, and I was over by the dams. And it was so nice to see one of our signs up there, part of the water trail. It was actually thrilling to see. Here we are with all of this hard work and recognition.
Did you take a picture?
Of the eagles or the dams?
Everything.
The sign.
Everything. The sign is what I was asking, but.
And I did see an eagle. All right. Ms. Molina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Judicial and Public Safety Committee met on January 16th, 2025, and we have 8 items we'd like consideration to be placed on the consent agenda. I'll read all of them. Item A is a resolution authorizing a facility use agreement with the Red Cross for the storage of an emergency shelter trailer. Item B is a resolution authorizing the fiscal year 24 Emergency Management Program Grant Agreement for the Office of Emergency Management. Item C is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Aurora and the City of Elgin for the execution of the 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program. Item D is a resolution authorizing a renewal of a contract with Flock Safety by the King County Sheriff's Office. Item E is a resolution granting the King County Sheriff and the King County State's Attorney authority to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Kendall County and a lease with the King County Bar Association for wellness coordinator services on behalf of King County. Item F is a notification of renewal of drug and alcohol evaluation referral services, RFQ 33-021. Item G is a resolution notifying the King County Board that the Chief Judge has entered into a contract for professional services for the Treatment Alternative Court. And item H is a resolution notifying the County Board that the Chief Judge has entered into a contract for professional services for the Driving Under the Influence Court, RFP 24-060-TK. And I make a motion to move all to the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Williams seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Discussion? No. Clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Mr. Caius, are you
Yes.
there? Yeah, they were
Yeah.
very.
Sorry.
thank you.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tuppy,
Tuppy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Jeez. Roth. Hmm? Oh, Mr. Roth.
Okay, for legal affairs, an ordinance amending section 2.193 of the Kane County Code, expenditure of funds for settlement of claims.
Is there a second?
Williams moves.
Thank you, sir.
Gums will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Excess.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Should I?
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
I think once that goes through, it'll be highly efficient. All righty, next one, Mr. Ms. Strathman.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have just one resolution before you this morning, and this is to correct a Scribner's error from last month. And this is authorizing the opioid response community implementation project. And this project allows for a person with lived experience to be present in the hospital emergency room to meet with individuals presenting due to an overdose to provide information, resources, and case management. And this is a grant funded initiative. So
Pepe moves.
Thank you.
Gums will second.
Very good. Do we have any idea where this grant is coming from?
yes, we do. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Okay, perhaps for the board meeting.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Madam, it
Yes.
says in the resolution that it's coming from the National Association of City and County Health Officials.
This is
So it's a federal, it's a federal grant. Okay. Hopefully that'll be funded on the 7th. All righty, any further discussion?
just for clarification, Madam Chair. This is a certified program, a certification program where a person who has done some counseling and has walked the talk of recovery, and they have gone through a certification program, and they will be on the premises at times that overdoses are likely to come in, and so they can help. It's an
a
excellent
wonderful thing.
program.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. All right, with no further discussion, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Should I?
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
All right, Mr. Tepe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 9 resolutions from the Transportation Committee. Item A, a resolution amending the source fund line item. of-
Microphone, please.
Microphone.
Sorry, I thought it was there. Item A, a resolution
Mr. Tepe,
amending
we
the
still can't
source.
hear you. Closer, please.
Can you hear me now?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Item A, a resolution amending the source fund line item of prior resolution number 24-371, approving a Phase 1 engineering services agreement with BLA Inc. for Randall Road at US 20 interchange improvements, Kane County Section number 19-00520-00-CH. Item B, a resolution approving $132,880.25 contract for the purchase of one 2025 3TS-8T JCB teleskid for the Kane County Division of Transportation. Item C, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois for Phase 3 construction for Randall Road at Illinois Route 72 intersection improvement, Kane County Section Number 19-00514-00-WR. Item D, a resolution approving a $23,154 amendment to the Phase 1/2 Engineering Services Agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. of Warrenville, Illinois, for Plank Road HSIP improvements, Romkey Road to Briar Hill Road, Kane County Section Number 21-00540-00-SP. Item E, a resolution approving a $25,698 amendment to the Phase 1/2 Engineering Services Agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. of Warrenville, Illinois, for Plank Road HSIP improvements, County Line Road to Engle Road, Kane County Section Number 22-00553-00-SP. Item F, a resolution approving a $65,434.50 county share and contract for construction with Precision Pavement Markings, Inc. of Pingree Grove, Illinois, for countywide recessed reflective payment markers project, Kane County Section Number 22-00557-00-SP. Item G, a resolution approving a contract for construction for $83,092 with Clean Cut Tree Service, Inc. of Grays Lake, Illinois, for the Randall Road at Illinois Route 72 tree removal project, Kane County Section Number 24-00514-01-WR. Item H, a resolution authorizing acquisition of real property for Randall Road at Big Timber Road intersection improvement, Kane County Section Number 19-00369-01-CH. Item I, a resolution requesting quick take powers for the acquisition of highway right-of-way for the Randall Road at Hops Road intersection realignment and railroad grade section improvement, parcel numbers 0001, 0002, 002TE, 0003, 003TE, 0004A, 0004B, 0005PE, 0006, 0006TE, 0007, 0008, and 009TE, Kane County Section Number 19-00511-00-CH. And I'd like to thank my first grade teacher, Mrs. Vonderhaben, for getting me to this point where I can do this.
For teaching you how to read. Well done.
So I'd like to request I'd like to move all 9 items and request a second.
Is there a second? Mr. Sturgis seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Alice, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Yeah.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
And yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Pepe,
Steffi, yes.
Williams, Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good. That ends our consent agenda. And just from, as a reminder, we have moved C for admin, but that's, I don't have the resolution number. D in finance. F is going back to human service or public health. That's just the two, just the two. All right. Mr. Roth.
One. Resolution approving county board personal expense voucher in the amount of $86.63. May I get a motion in a second?
Thank you. Motion.
Lewis seconds.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Great, yes.
sorry, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Have a executive session for the release of closed session minutes. Bill, could you please bring this forward? The request to go into executive session.
This bill versus that bill, okay. For release of, make a motion for release of, review, release of closed session minutes is the purpose.
No, please.
Motion to move into executive session
Move
for that
into
purpose.
executive session, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Mr. State.
Clerk call the roll.
Aye.
Bates, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Yes. Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges, Tepe, Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Okay, we're now going into executive session.
All right, everybody online that has joined us there, that's going into the closed session, accept your invite. A reminder to those in the room, you also must accept before we can officially go into the closed session. Please look for those invites.
Did it, so I can't.
Accepted the invitation.
Do you do anything about your PR?
Why is this Or is that a D?
Somebody's
I'm
not
not
doing
sure.
a job.
Oh,
Wait till I get joined.
because otherwise you'll get a.
All right, you are in open session.
All right, we're back in open session. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen,
Present.
Bates,
It's here.
Berman, Gums,
Gums here.
Juby,
Should be here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Lewis, Linder, Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Strathman,
Present.
Surges,
Present.
Tepe,
Steppy here.
Williams,
Here.
Roth,
Roth here.
I'm here as well. All right, may I have a motion, and a second to enter, no, sorry, wrong one. To approve the release of the closed session minutes as reflected in Exhibit A.
Bates moves.
Thank you.
Roth will second.
No discussion. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Should be aye.
Caius,
Caius will abstain, not having seen them.
and Lewis. Thank you. Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steppy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good, thank you. All right, committee reports, my comments. You've heard me reference today on concern about the federal grants, and it's something that I would like us all to monitor. And I do appreciate the update, Ms. Gums, with that. It's a significant amount of money. I did query our department heads and asked them what pass-through grants, goes from some direct Fed funding, some is direct to the state and then pass through to us, but it's all federally funded. I will get you that list for the full board. I'll have Jane send it to you so you have an idea of what departments and the impact of that potential withholding of those funds they have upon Kane County. I thought it was very important that we talk, if we're talking about national issues, what its direct impact is upon the county. I do believe that there are also additional grants, which I have not had the query yet, for our judicial partners. And they also have pass-through grants that'll either go directly through the Fed or state to us. So I'll get that information as appropriate. And then we can just monitor it to make sure that that money is coming through. One of the concerns that was expressed through the Office of Community Development is that that is direct federal dollars. And there was concern that if those federal dollars, if they are locked out of the system, we cannot make payroll nor pay our rent on the building in Batavia. So that was a concern, but pending the board, we'll give them that note that loan the money so that they can proceed to keep that department active on both ends of those departments active and well. So that is just national politics impacting Kane County. So I appreciate the update, Ms. Gums, and if you can just keep me aware if that money has indeed actually been released. It was supposed to be released and then it was withheld for a 90-day review pending the review if it meets the new president's criteria of DEI, the Green New Deal, and there was one other thing that he wanted to review to make sure it meets his policies. So hopefully that will not take place so we can continue our good work here in the county.
Madam Chair, on
Yes,
that topic,
Ms.
may I ask Ms. Gums another question?
Oh, absolutely.
I'll be doing an update when she's done.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's the only comment I have, just informational for you. Right now, everything isn't just a holding pattern. Legislative update, Ms. Gums.
Sure. Ms. Bates, if you want to go ahead with your question first.
Just, so the judge has done this restraining order?
The
about-
temporary restraining order in
Oh,
place.
how long is that temporary restraining? How long is this temporary restraining order going to last?
I don't know how long it lasts, but I know they have to comply by February 7th. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Maybe our lawyer can answer that question.
I can answer it if you.
Please.
I mean,
Yes, please.
Temporary restraining orders are a first step in the process. Then you go to a preliminary injunction, which could be till the actual adjudication of the merits. So either it's called TRO, temporary restraining, either TRO is lifted or it's extended, or they issue a preliminary injunction. Nobody knows.
So we don't know.
It's a good wait and see time. So.
Okay, so we'll be in a holding pattern for a while yet. Okay, thank you for that. Sort of
Yeah,
like this
thank you,
whole
Mavis,
meeting.
for asking that question. So the legislative, I did not invite our team. As you know, things are a little bit crazy. I think I had 3 Mondays and 1 Monday. But McGuire Woods, you all probably got an email requesting what the impacts may be of all of these things. That was helped facilitated by our McGuire Woods team. They have been keeping me up to date with all of the moving parts in Washington in particular. So we'll talk about Washington first, and it's a hot mess. That's a legal term, hot mess. Also, just bear in mind, all of you know your legislators, and they are under heavy stress, no matter what side they're on, just so you're aware. And we support them. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So with the temporary restraining order, it compels the White House Office of Management and Budget to unfreeze the spending and release all of those funds. They're required to report the compliance by February 7th. I don't even know what's going to happen in 2 minutes. So hopefully that happens. On the state level, we have a whole litany of bills that have been filed. Now, each department director, head, and elected will get our team has broken them down by like public health, public safety, all kinds of different categories so that those departments can go through and analyze them. I like to let the experts deal with their own business. So, and then we did have a meeting on Friday with the congressman to address some of these funding issues as well. Just FYI, that was fruitful in that, I would ask for an impact report to be done. So I'm going to ask that be forwarded to our delegations and our lobbyist team so they can navigate, so that we can make sure and get what we're owed. We do have, the team is working with not only all of our staff in transportation, but also our Office of Emergency Management. We're thrilled that they now have a new bill that they've requested. That's been filed yesterday. We have pieces of legislation that have been filed both in the Senate and in the House for our leasing project that we can talk about at a later date. And then also, just so you're aware, our team is working with our Assistant State's Attorney's Office with some of the questions that you all tend to have sometimes. So our team gets a question from one of you and they work with the team directly on the phone. I appreciate our board members that have come to me with issues outside of things too. That's happening more often. And that's kind of the direction we want the legislative committee to go in. I did announce in legislative last month that I will be attending the NACO Legislative Conference in Washington, DC this year. And we have scheduled meetings. By we, I mean, Mr. Rickert and I will be meeting with our legislators, Durbin, Duckworth, all the people from here. And then, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. We'll have a more comprehensive meeting this coming this month because of all of this stuff that's happening. It's very fluid. Everything is very quick and the legislators are extremely overloaded, as well as all of you, I'm sure. So it'll be pretty comprehensive this month, I think. So I encourage you all to join it.
Do we know when that meeting's going?
Yeah,
It's stumps.
it's the 19th.
What?
What
ninth.
meeting is that, please?
Our legislative committee. meeting, our regular monthly meeting on the 19th.
Ms. Gums, I would ask, and this would be for any board member, if you are planning on, and I appreciate letting us know, but because of budgetary restraints that we have, we're just being sensitive to them. If you could put together a tentative budget for your trip so that we know ahead of time what it would be, so we can plan accordingly according to the budget set forth by the board for travel. Just, I think that's just,
Madam Chair, I will let you discuss that with the other board members. I've already booked everything and
Oh,
I
sure.
would be
No.
glad to provide that in my expense report, but if that's a policy that you would like done, I would
and
suggest.
Mr. Sanchez has been talking about that for some time,
So-
and it has been discussed at Human Services. So just a preliminary, just to give us a ballpark idea. And obviously, go to NACO is very important. So there's no, you have, I believe, the board support, just the numbers, that's all. So wonderful. That's very good.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I have a question for Ms. Gums. So I believe this is going to this could impact the Energy and Environmental Committee
Absolutely.
seriously.
Absolutely.
So
This
we
what?
need to, what?
This,
The federal freeze on funds if it happens.
yes.
comes
Yes,
back.
yes.
We have a whole basket of things that it can affect. I mean, if there is a freeze, so they are legit like all over all aspects of funding. By they, I mean our lobbyist team. So they will absolutely keep you informed. I know you've been CC'd on a few emails, so that's good.
Please put me in the basket.
And the grants that would be impacted will be given to you because Jody determined what they were.
Yeah,
So
and
it'll be in that list.
And as county board chair people, if there is any legislative impact to your committees, I implore you to bring them to the legislative chairs. Thank you.
And we live in interesting times, everybody. Right now, very interesting times. Thank you, Ms. Gums, very informative. Much appreciated.
And I just want to point out that Madam Chair was with me also when we did speak with
Congressman. Foster.
Congressman, and it was a really good meeting, so.
It was. To follow up, one of the things that really touched my heart when all of the social service agencies were speaking at that meeting was Hesed House. And when Hesed House said if money is taken away from them, not received, there could be possibly, I believe the number was 300 unhoused individuals, which would include children, would be on the streets of Aurora. And again, the impact upon the county and upon the city of Aurora would be quite challenging in the middle of winter. So, and in the middle of summer, it doesn't matter. Having children unhoused is not in the best interests of Kane County.
Just, I happen to have the notes with me, Madam Chair Gums. It looks like in total, that number was 650. There were 350 that would need housing, and then the remaining 300 would lose their housing that they currently have.
So 650
Yeah,
families and individuals in total.
correct. Sorry.
Okay,
And then
so-
it was 75 families at the Acid House immediately would lose their spots.
Okay. All right, with that, are there any other committee reports?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Mr. Caius.
This is Caius. Just a quick note on, I know that we've been involved in the past with the admin committee and the maintenance department, building maintenance. Just an update, quick update. Made great progress on interviewing candidates for those positions that were management positions for chief building engineer and chief building management manager. And I would expect, from what I've heard from Roger, if you can ask him if you have specific questions about this, that those would be filled within the next few weeks, hopefully. So we'll be moving ahead with those. And then real quick to refer back to page 33 of the agenda today for our building, for the capital improvements projects. I'd like to thank the board for passing that, and then keep track of those on that agenda, or that item, that table there shows just exactly where things are in the process, are making really good progress on the chillers and air conditioning to make sure that ARPA money is being properly handled and expended over the next couple of years. And that, I believe that's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caius.
Motion to adjourn.
A quick update,
Wait a minute, we've got a few more, sir. Give us a, gonna get through quickly.
weather update.
Did the 650 people get to you? I saw it in your eyes. Yes, Mr. Rathman.
Just quickly, Madam Chair. Last week, the Executive Director of the Public Health invited his staff to go up and take a very informal tour of the new facility in Elgin. And I went up and joined them, and it was very exciting to see them be all excited about their new home. And it's also good for them to see the before, have some input on what they'd like to see and how they'd like to see it. And they were all very excited. Most of them had not seen it at all yet. So it was very, very cool. See the smiles on their faces. So thank you.
Very good.
That is all.
Ms. Gums.
I just want to, I would just got another update on the weather, just so you're all aware. It's supposed to start at 6 originally. Now they updated it to noon. So
Motion to adjourn.
there we go. That's all I'm saying.
You live too close, sir. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Just real quick for the development committee, we had a meeting with a potential developer for the property near La Fox, which if that goes forward, will be one of the biggest developments we've seen in a long time. Good news is it'll be far less intensive than what was proposed in the city of St. Charles, but time will tell. I'll tell you a lot later.
The La Fox property, correct?
Coming to the county?
Not yet, not yet. Soon.
Possibly, yes, possibly,
Yeah.
possibly. We have other options too.
Thank you. It was a very good meeting. Very, very, very solid meeting. Anybody else? No? Mr. Sturgis, I think,
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
is there?
third time.
Second, all in favor?
Bye.